My guest right now has won the last 3 championships he played for and was MVP in each one. There is only one world's best hockey player. There is only one Sidney Crosby. Hey, you got the new ring last night. How's it look?
It looks great. Hard to believe they could find a way to make it bigger than last year's, but they found a way. So guys were all pretty happy about it.
How often do you wear your rings, and where do you keep them when you're not wearing them?
The first time I've worn the one I got last year was last night, and I really don't wear them a whole lot. So I've got them kind of spread out. My parents have a couple, and I've got a couple here in Pittsburgh. So I don't wear them a whole lot, but they're pretty cool to have.
Well, they're too big to wear. Let's be honest. Now, before we get to your pursuit of a fourth ring, Sid, everyone is picking Connor McDavid to win the scoring title and MVP this year. Does that bother you? Motivate you? How do you see these young guys coming up?
To be honest, I don't really pay attention to the predictions a whole lot. I think that, it's one of those things where he had a great year last year, and at his age, he's only going to get better. So I think it's, pretty safe prediction in picking him. And I think, with the year he had and putting up the points he did, I don't see why he's not going to be up there again this year. So I don't think it changes the way, I prepare what I need to do, and hopefully he'll be right up there too.
Is it strange and maybe even amusing, now that you're 30, to see kids like McDavid and Austin Matthews go through what you did?
It's, it's kind of unique just because, you can relate to so many things, and you see things that happen, and I think, there's things that you can certainly learn from, and experience teaches you. So I think those guys are going to go through different things. They're going to learn, but I'm not surprised that so many guys are doing so well young. I just feel like, for whatever reason, guys are coming in more and more prepared, and the guys you mentioned, Patrick Laine, all these young guys are having an impact right away, and they're just ready. They're ready right away, and they deserve all the responsibility and all the expectation because they're great players.
What's it like to be 30? Sid the Kid is 30. It makes me feel ancient, I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, you know what? When you look back at each year, it seems like some of them blend together, or you feel like, a year that might have passed was only, a year or two ago, and it might have been 3 or 4. It just seems like everything goes by so much faster with every year. But that being said, I don't think, mentally your approach or passion or any of that stuff changes. So, it's hard to believe how fast it goes, but I don't think I really looked at age when I was 18, and I'm not going to start looking at age at 30. So, that's kind of just the approach I have.
You still put in a lot of extra work, Sid. At what age might that be kind of productive? Will rest ever do you more good than work?
Yeah, you got to find that balance. I think at some point, you've just got to. It's kind of just trial and error. You go through things, you see how your body feels, and it's really tough to say just as far as kind of finding that balance. Just because we've played so much hockey the last couple of years, so. You've got to take that into account too. That's not necessarily age or kind of workload. It's just the amount of games that you play. You've just got to be aware to take care of your body and get rest when you can. But also you've got to work on your game too. So I think that's just something that with experience, hopefully, I'd like to think I've got a pretty good feel for that at this point, and just kind of react based on how you feel.
How many days off did you have over the summer? No skate, no workout, no nothing. How many days totally off would you say?
I took a good month off before I started doing anything, so that was good. I think with the last year with the World Cup, that started everything pretty early, and then having a short summer before that, so I felt like that rest was needed. But sometimes being in the grind of practicing and working out, things like that, sometimes that you feel that more than you do when you're just in games and you're playing. And you're playing a lot of games, you get into a routine, you get into a rhythm, and you get more days off honestly, the more you play games, the more days off you get. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes depending on the schedule and things like that, it's nice just to play games. So I'm excited to get back out there and just get into that routine again.
Do you still have the water trampoline at the lake house?
I don't, no.
You got rid of the water trampoline?
I've got like a swimming dock where you can just kind of jump in, but no water trampoline.
Did you ever use the water trampoline?
No, my neighbor had one, but I didn't have one.
Okay, I'd hate to see a promising career ended by a water trampoline.
Yeah.
Looking at the upcoming season, you're going to be playing with Jake Gensel again. Why are you and he so on the same page? It seems like you have a similar brain for hockey, perhaps more so than any line mate you've had.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the guys I play with over the years, we've had pretty good chemistry, and, I think with Gens, he's just, he's really confident in the way he plays. I think he's a pretty easy guy to read off of no matter who he's playing with. I think he plays the same way. Yeah, he's got really good hockey sense, so he puts himself in a position to get open, and then, when he's not open, he finds ways to create space for other guys out there. So, all that stuff on top of that, he's got that finishing ability. He can shoot the puck, and he doesn't need many chances to put the puck in the net. So, I think for a young guy, he's really confident, and he believes in his game, and you can see, the way he's improved, right away. So, he's played great hockey for us.
How much does history motivate this group to get that third cup in a row? You already have some very memorable accomplishments, but this hasn't been done since the early 80s. To do that would be quite special.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I think we have that in the back of our mind, but we also know that, we've got to build all over again. We've got a lot of guys who've, been able to be a part of that and experience going back to back, so that's going to help. But it's important, for guys coming in, and as far as our group to kind of rebuild all that. And you come into training camp and you start the season, and everything's not where it was in June. You've got to build that up again. So I think just making sure that we understand that. We know it's going to be difficult, but we had the right approach last year where we just, we took it in stride, and we'll have to have that same approach. A lot of things happen over the course of the year.
There's a lot of turnover on the roster this year. What are the pros and cons of that, Sid?
Well, I think, with last year, we didn't have a lot of turnover, and I think, as far as having that identity and understanding each guy's role, I think it helps, with that, because everyone's, really familiar, everyone's fresh with what's expected of them, and then when you have turnover, that changes things a bit as far as what's expected of guys and, maybe where they are in the lineup and things like that. So that takes a little bit more time to develop, but, with that, you also get some guys who are, really eager to be in a new place, new situation, on a new team. So I think that energy can also help you too. So I think if you're looking at kind of both sides of it, I guess that's the best way I can describe it. But definitely when you bring in new guys, you can tell that they're pretty anxious and excited to be part of a new team, and that can be contagious in a group too.
You guys picked up Ryan Reeves for this season. I've always felt that you like having a guy like him on your team. What will his presence do for you?
Yeah, I mean, you can already tell. I mean, even in the preseason games, there just seems to be, a little bit different tone to the game when he's in the lineup. And, I think that's been the case in hockey for a long time, but I can definitely notice it with him in the lineup that, he seems to kind of allow the game to kind of just happen out there and not too many things get out of hand. So we'll see as the season goes on, but he's a guy who can skate, he finishes hits, he's tough. He's a great guy in the dressing room, so we're happy to have him.
With guys like Fleury and Kunitz and Benito and Cullen gone, is it going to be a quieter dressing room? As captain, how will you deal with that, Sid?
I don't know. I think, some guys who are maybe younger and kind of tend to kind of take things in, maybe they'll be a little more assertive and gain confidence. That's usually the way a dressing room works. They gain responsibility and confidence, and it's not their first year anymore. So I think you see guys' personalities come out a little bit more once that happens, and that's just kind of the way that a dressing room develops. But I think we still have different personalities, and not one team is always, the same as the next. So I think the big thing is always just, having everyone be themselves and feel comfortable in the group. And when you got guys like Horny and Phil and Gino and Tanger, guys like that, I think, there's still guys in there that will keep things loose and, make it a fun room to be a part of.
Have you and Gino grown closer over the last maybe 2 or 3 years? And if so, why so?
Yeah, I think that, winning and being part of those special times, I think always brings guys closer together, teammates. And I think that definitely with each year too, you realize, there's guys that you played with a long time, but, with Gino and Tanger, guys like that, it's pretty cool that you're able to share those things together over that period of time, and you don't see that happen too often. So, as far as Gino and I are concerned, I think we appreciate those things just because we know that we've seen guys kind of that've been here for a while that have moved on, and we've been able to, to win and share those things together. So I think that's natural for that to happen.
What was the biggest moment in Game 6 at Nashville? The goal to make it 1-0, or the clock runs out, or you get to go pick up the cup?
I could tell you a long list of stuff that sticks out in my mind. I think
because you remember every little detail, don't you?
Yeah, I remember a lot of them. Yeah, I remember seeing Horny crying on top of the pile on the bench, and I know how tough it was. I mean, I thought for sure there's no way he was going to be able to play another game once he hurt his hand. And I don't know. I still don't know how he played to this day, but let alone to play and score that big a goal, and then to see Haggy in that foot race and to see him go down there and put it in the empty net and to know it was over, that was a pretty cool feeling too. So I think all those snapshots, stick out. You'll take things from those games, but those two things kind of stick out in my mind.
Here's how I've compared you guys winning in 16 to winning in 17. In 16, I thought you guys were clearly the best team. In 17, I think you just outlasted everybody. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, somehow it felt like at times, just with injuries and things like that, it felt like, how are we going to outlast anyone with the way that guys were going down? But that's really what the playoffs are about. You've got to find a way to push through that, and different guys come in and step up, and you buy time for other guys to get back in the lineup, and they come back and somehow find a way to play through injuries and things like that. So, yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. We seemed to really carry the play a couple of years ago in every game, and maybe that wasn't the case as much last year, but we got some huge saves from our goaltenders, and then we were able to make the most of the chances we got. So it was a different game, but we found a way, and that was probably our best quality or best trait as a team.
You have 5 tough games right away this year, and then 2 games in 2 nights right away, St. Louis at home, at Chicago. It's going to be pretty demanding right away, isn't it?
Yeah, we're jumping right into it, and sometimes that's the best way to do it. I think, when you talk about preseason and getting ready and things like that, there's still nothing like meaningful games and the intensity and everything that comes with that. So the fact that we're playing good teams and, that we're playing a bunch, right off the start there, I think that's going to be good for us. And I think mentally we'll be ready to jump right into it.
Now, Nashville visits Saturday, a rematch of the final. Do you plan to bounce PK's head off the ice again? I mean, if he holds your leg and you can't get loose.
I wasn't trying to bounce. He had me in a pretty good ankle lock there. I don't know what he was trying to do, but I'll try to stay away from that. It'll be a little weird facing off across from Bowen, seeing him on the other side there. But I'm sure that'll be an emotional game too. Pretty fresh in both teams' minds.
At 38 years old, could you imagine ever not playing hockey? Does that ever cross your mind now?
Do you mean like at some point when I retire, or do you mean?
Well, I don't know, because I can kind of see you playing men's league forever. I don't think you're ever going to – no, I can't. I don't think you'll ever really stop playing hockey at all, do you?
It's hard to say. I mean, at this point, I want to play as long as I can, but I don't play men's league in the summer. It's not
well, not now. I'm talking tough. Like when you're done with the NHL.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be hard. I would think it'd be hard to not be involved somehow in some way, but I'm going to try to play for as long as I can. So we'll see where that takes me.
You know what I think could end your career, Sid? If McDonald's ever didn't sponsor that logo on the ice, I mean, what would you stick handler on before the game? Tell me you wouldn't be rattled.
I'd be a little rattled. I'm hoping that they keep that right there. Let's be honest.
Okay, to wrap things up, do you have any stunning personal revelation you'd like to volunteer?
You always ask me this.
Well, one of these days you will. Do you have anything?
I got nothing for you.
Okay, fair enough. Which of the following do you watch on TV? The Deuce, Ray Donovan, Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
I knew it. I knew. When I put these questions together, I said, I bet he watched Game of Thrones. How into it are you?
Oh, I love it. I watch every episode. So, yeah, that's a good one.
Is that a topic in the locker room?
Yeah, you know what? It is. It's when that's going, a lot of the guys are talking about that one.
Wow. I'm not surprised. Well, you young kids today and your crazy TV shows, have you seen Goon 2 yet, Last of the Enforcers?
I haven't seen that one yet. I know that the first one they had, I think there was some of it that took place out east, where I'm from. So
I think they filmed some of it, that's right.
Yeah, so I don't know what the second one does as well, but yeah.
Well, the team's the Halifax Highlanders. Maybe you'll wind up your career playing on the Halifax Highlanders.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Hey, Sid, as always, thanks. You've been coming on the show for 12 years now. It probably seems like 50, but it's always tremendous, and I appreciate the time. Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Okay, thanks a lot. That is Sidney Crosby. Always a pleasure to have him on. I knew it. I knew Game of Thrones. He strikes me as a Game of Thrones guy. Then again, well, life is wasted on the young. Sarah Silverman said it best. If you read the Bible, it's like a really bad episode of Game of Thrones. That's Sidney Crosby. Thanks to Jen Milano and Jason Seidling for getting things set up. Always a pleasure to have the captain on the program. 105.9 The X.